Hello everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to make this pencil skirt with lacing in front. So it was inspired by this skirt I saw right here. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, keep on watching, subscribe, and let's get started with the video. I'm going to start by drafting out a pencil skirt pattern. So I'll go ahead and draw a straight line across the top of my pattern paper here. So this line here is going to be our waistline. So we're going to be taking our measurements from here. This is going to serve as the center. So from the waist, I'm coming down by 8 inches for my hip line. So I'll go ahead and draw this across as well. Now from the waist, I'm going to measure down to the length that I want the skirt to be. I am going to be marking at 23 inches here and also draw a straight line across. Now from the waistline, I'm coming in by quarter of my waist measurement, which is my waist measurement divided by 4. I made a mark here and I'm going to be adding another 1 inch for my dart intake at the waistline. Now coming to the hip, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. Hip measurement divided by 4. I realized that I didn't mark it at the appropriate part. It's on this second point here. So now at this end, whatever I have here, I'm going to remove 1 inch from there and mark it at the end. So I just did. So now I am going to be joining the last points from the waist down to the hip line here, and from the hip line to the hemline. Now from the center, I'm going to go in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5. Now from this point, I'm going to come down by 4 inches for my dart length. Now I'm going to connect a line from the waist down to this new point here, as you can see. Now I will mark half an inch on both sides of this line to cover up for the 1 inch we added earlier for our dart. And I'm going to connect these half-inch points, as you can see, like this, with my ruler. So this is my dart, as you can see. So this is basically all for the drafting of this skirt pattern. This is the front. We are going to go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this is the fabric I intend to use and make the skirt. As you can see here, you'll be needing bias tape as well for the lacing, and you will need a zipper. Also, you will need to have lining pieces. For the actual fabric, you will need about 2 yards to be able to make this skirt. So I'll go ahead and arrange my pattern on the fabric. I am going to be using this front pattern to first of all cut out the back piece, because we did not draft the back pattern separately. So from the center of the front, I came out by 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance. On the side, I came out by 1.5 inch, and on the end, I came out by 1.5 inch. Only at the top, I came up by half an inch. So you need to give these stitching allowances around, because the back pattern needs to have zipper allowance in the center. So that's why the center has 1.5 inch stitching allowance. For the end, the allowance I have on the end is for us to fold it up by the time we're done making the skirt at the end. And of course, the one on the side is for us to have like stitching allowances on the side. I'll go ahead and mark my notch points here so that I'll be able to stitch it down later on the fabric. So I'm removing my pins now, because I want to go ahead and use this pattern to cut out the front piece. Now for us to be able to get that design on our skirt, the measurement we have from here to this point here, we are going to replicate it at the end of the skirt. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it here, and I'll use my ruler to connect a straight line from the point at the top all the way to the end. Now from the middle line on the dart, I'm going to measure 2.5 inches to the side. So I'm going to be marking 2.5 inches here, and I'll do the same thing on the end as well. From the line as well, I'll mark 2.5 inches, and I'm going to draw a straight line all the way from the top to meet the other line as well. So this area here in the middle is going to be the area that is going to have the lacing by the time we are done making the skirt. So I'll go ahead and label these. So this right here is the middle. Like I said, it's going to be the area with the lace. This is the center, and then this is the side. So I'll go ahead and cut out the pieces. For this area with the dart, I'm going to be cutting off the dart like you see here. Then I will go ahead and cut every other part all the way to the end and just cut off the remaining part of the dart. So we'll be removing the darts from the front part of the skirt. Now these are all the 3 pieces that are going to form the front part of our skirt. This center piece here is going to be cut on fold. The center, I must make sure that it's folded, so I'm just labeling cut on fold so that I don't forget. Now I've gone ahead to place the center piece labeled C on my folded fabric. Like I said, the fabric is folded into 2 from the center. Now on this side here, I added half an inch stitching allowance. At the top I added half an inch stitching allowance, but at the end I added 1.5 inch stitching allowance. So I just went ahead to cut out this piece. Now for the other 2 front pieces, let me also explain to you how to go about it. Remember that this is the center front. Like I said, half an inch here, half an inch here on the side, because we need it to be able to join these other 2 pieces together. And at the end of all the pieces, I have 1.5 inch. So for the middle piece, half inch here, half inch here, half inch at the top, 1.5 inch here. Then here, half inch, 1.5 inch on the side, because we need to have stitching allowance to join the front and the back together, and then 1.5 inch at the end. So you notice that all the ends have the same allowances. In between each piece I have half an inch to join them together. At the tops I have half an inch. That's how you're going to go about all the allowances. So for this middle piece, this is the first piece we are going to be working on. I'm going ahead to mark the back of the pieces because the fabric I'm working with is very hard to differentiate the front and the back. So this is one of the pieces. I am going to go ahead and mark all the points where my loops are going to be, because we need to have loops for us to be able to lace the skirt. So for this, I've folded my bias strip into 2. I folded a whole lot of it because we are also going to be using it to lace the skirt later. So but first of all, now I'm going to cut out the ones I want to use for the loop. So I'll be cutting each out with 2 inches long. So I'll cut it out at the 2 inches point, and I'm going to cut out a lot of it. So we're just going to cut out so many pieces with 2 inches long. So guys, I've cut out a couple of pieces, as you can see. So now from the top of my skirt, I'm coming down by 2 inches and I'm marking it on the both ends. From the 2 inches point I had before, I am coming down by another 2 inches. I'm marking on the both ends. From the previous 2 inches point, I'm coming down again with 2 inches on the both ends, like this and like this. So I'm going to continue with this process actually until I get to the end of this fabric. So 2 inches here and 2 inches on this side as well. So guys, when you get to the last part here, I'm going to be stopping here, and I have 2.5 inches away from the end, so we'll be able to fold this up later at the end. So don't take it all the way to the end of the skirt. So what I have here is 11 points on both sides, so that's giving me a total of 22 places where I'm going to put my loops. So I'm folding my loop like this into 2, and I'm going to pin it on the points that I have here. So you can see how I'm doing it. I'm pinning it on this point here. I'll pin the next one on the next point. Remember that each point is 2 inches away from the first one. So I'll go ahead and pin this down here. I'll continue with the same process, pick up the next one, fold it into 2. This is just a similar method. It's just the same way you place your loop if you're making corset loops. So I'm just going to continue with this process for this part. I'll also be doing the same thing for the other side as well, just pinning them down. I'm going to do this all the way to the end of this piece, and I will do the same thing for the other middle piece as well. So I'll go ahead and stitch it down on the side and do the same thing for this piece as well. So guys, I've secured all the loops by making a stitch on the side. As you can see, I did it for the both pieces, the both middle pieces. Now we're going to be joining all the front pieces together, the center, the side, and of course the middle pieces that we have placed our loops on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the center. Remember that our center piece is in a fold, so when you open it, it's going to look like this. So now I am going to place the side piece like this. This is how it should be. Remember that the opening we have at this top is the dart. Okay, so now place them right sides facing each other like this, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down. So like this. Now the way we have already cut it out, we don't need to bother again with darts again, because we already took off the darts earlier when we were cutting out our pattern. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch down the areas I just pinned down here and here. I have made my stitches now, as you can see, and I've gone ahead to iron out my seams. I ironed it towards the center here, as you can see. You'll notice that one part is looking like it's longer than the other, so by the time we're done with everything, we'll just trim it off. Remember, we gave it enough allowances at the end. So now the next thing is to join the side pieces to it. We are basically going to be doing it the same way. So please make sure that you're not placing your side piece in this form like this. This is not how it should be. So the side piece should come like this, so that the curved part will be the part that is going towards the hip, and then the other side will be like this. So now I'll go ahead and pin this on the middle pattern, on the middle piece, just like we did earlier. Just go ahead and pin it down, and of course I will do the same thing with the other side as well.
So many times that I miss you. I know how to call when I want to. Now you got way bigger issues.
So now we'll go ahead and stitch it down here and here, and after I was through with that, this is the full front skirt pattern. I went ahead to make top stitches on the areas where I had my loops. So I ironed out everything. As you can see, I made top stitches, and this is the full part of our skirt now in front. So this is just basically it. Now I'm going to trim off the excess I have at the end, and of course I will also put it on the back pattern, and also trim off the excess on the back pattern, because the front and the back must have exactly the same length. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is cut out lining pieces with these fabrics that I have here, and I'm going to go ahead and line them up. Guys, I'm done lining it up. As you can see, I didn't show the process because I've done this a couple of times on this channel already, and then this video again is already becoming very long. So if you do not know how to go about this at all, I would say that you should go ahead and see any of my old pencil skirt videos. You will definitely see it there. I've also gone ahead to stitch down the dart areas of my back patterns, the back skirt pieces, as you can see. So now I'm going to join these two pieces together. I'm going to be placing a zipper at this top area here. So I'll be using my zipper to just measure. There's going to be a band, so I extended the zipper a little bit, and I'm marking a point here. Okay, so now from this point, I'm going to just mark about 11 to 10 inches down, because we need to leave some excesses at this end as well for my slit. So I just mark it here. So I'll be going over to the sewing machine to stitch in between these points that I just made from here to here. I'm done making the stitch, as you can see, and this here is where the zipper will be, and down here is the slit. So I'm going to be joining the front and the back part of the skirt together now. So I'll place them right sides facing each other like this, and I'm going to actually have to measure before I make any stitch here. So I'll measure my waist measurement and my hip measurement, divide it on both sides, and go ahead and stitch the sides down. So I have to measure to do this. Guys, I have joined the skirt pieces together. As you can see, I turn it over to the right side and iron it out. So now for the band of the skirt, I have this piece of fabric here. It's long enough to go around my waist, and the length I have here, the width I have here is 2.5 inches. I've already gone ahead to iron hairstay to it, as you can see, and I folded it into two with my iron. So now as it's folded like this, I'm going to go ahead and just stitch it all the way around the waist like this. I'll cut off the excess that I have here, and after that I will fix my zipper. I am done stitching down the waist, and I've also gone ahead to fix my zipper to the back. You can see this is the slit area here. Now for the front, I already laced one part of it, as you can see. Now I folded another piece of bias. This bias is 2.5 inches long. It's 2.5 inches long, and the length you will need is going to depend on how long your skirt is. So for this one, it's 2.5 inches long. If your skirt is longer, I would say use 3 yards. So I'm going ahead now to lace up the middle part of the skirt that we labeled M earlier. So this is just the reason why we went through all the process that we went through to make the skirt, just to have loops for us to be able to lace it up. So I'm just going to continue to lace it up in a cross manner, just the same way you would go about lacing your corset. So I'm going to continue with this until I get to the end of the skirt. When you're lacing this up, you want to make sure that the lace is not folding the fabric in any way. Don't let the lace fold your fabric in, because there's a tendency for that, you lacing it too tightly, and then that part of the fabric becomes too tight. So guys, this is basically all for the making of the skirt. I hope that you guys find this tutorial interesting and helpful. I just thought to just come on here and show you guys how to go about this. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.